Happy Halloween, 4th and Trollers. Welcome back to 4th and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. My name is Noah Selby.
I'm Wes Selby. Wow.
And we're back. It's Happy Halloween. I know it's technically the day after, but we record on Thursday nights and on Monday nights, so decided to stay in costume for the recording after the Thursday night football game, just for a little bit of fun. And
wow.
Anybody hungry?
This is incredible.
Yeah. That was Wes's first reaction. I had kept my camera off until we started the show.
You can't even see you're talking. This is so great.
It's pretty crazy.
Wow.
And it's probably a little jarring, but...
Is there a full, Fall Guys Halloween skins costume? Or is this
To be honest, dude, I don't even know. I was just in Spirit Halloween, not a sponsor. And I was like, oh, you know what I should be? A hot dog. And I was like, oh, look, a hot dog. And so I was a hot dog for Halloween this evening, walking around with my nephews and family. And I failed to remember that there was a theme of superheroes. So it was superheroes and a hot dog. And so that went well. But it was a hit. Everyone around the neighborhood was like, hey, a hot dog. And I got to a point where I stopped knowing what to say because I didn't know the depth perception inside of this thing is just bananas. So I just didn't even know where to go to. And so someone would go, it's a hot dog. And I would just turn in their general direction and yell, hot dog. And then that was it. That was all. Yeah.
Love the idea so much of Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, hot dog. Catwoman.
Yeah. A couple of Loki variants.
Oh my
Black
gosh.
Panther.
Yeah, that's what you
hot
are.
dog.
You're a Loki variant.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
So there you go. So
wonderful.
Welcome back. We got a great episode for you guys. We got some studs and duds for week 9, as well as recapping Thursday night football. It's going to be a good time. Make sure you check everything out in the description below, because we got a bunch of stuff going on down there, and always having a fun time. Giving away a signed James Cook jersey through our Patreon this year. You can find that link down below, or patreon.com/4th and Troll Fantasy. You can also find our merch linked down below. We got some fun stuff over there for you guys if you are interested. And as always, subscribe, ring the bell so you are in tune with everything. And Wes, we got some news, and while you take the news, I am going to take this off because it is 9,000 degrees in here. So
amazing.
I'm going to get back into some street clothes here.
Okay, you better hurry as fast as you can, because I'm going to read this as quickly as possible just to see how much of this is off before I'm done with the news.
Gosh.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Here's what we got for the news going into week 9. First of all, the Indianapolis Colts decided to bench Anthony Richardson. Shane Steichen said that they're going to stick with Joe Flacco going forward. So Josh Downs owners rejoice. We'll see how long they continue to roll with Flacco. Of course, we mentioned Deontay Johnson was on the trade block. He was officially traded to the Baltimore Ravens. I believe that's just an offensive tackle now. That's his role. He's been relegated to a run blocker there in Baltimore. Pretty bad, in our opinion, for the fantasy upside. Back to quarterback situations. Carolina, Bryce Young was named the starter again to err on the side of caution with Andy Dalton's sprained thumb. Also, Jonathan Brooks, he may play this week as well, so keep a tab on that for all the Chuba Hubbard owners. Isaiah Pacheco, listen carefully, Kareem Hunt owners. Well done. That was no time at all. That was pretty easy.
I know, dude. It was a pretty quick change. Put me on Broadway.
You're an expert. Isaiah Pacheco is progressing very well, according to Andy Reid, but he's still at least 2 weeks out from returning. So Kareem Hunt owners will have their superstar waiver wire find for quite some time. Todd Bowles told the media that Bucky Irving will likely be dealing with a toe injury all season, to which Irving has not practiced, or he did not practice on Thursday. So something to monitor now and going forward. Also, as you noticed last night on Thursday night, Allen Lazard was not there because he was placed on injury reserve with a chest injury. don't really know if he's going to make a difference after what we saw from some superstar wide receivers. David Njoku missed practice Thursday as well with an ankle injury, something that he dealt with that caused him to miss several weeks earlier this year. So pay attention to that superstar for the rest of the season. DK Metcalf yet to practice, doubtful for week 9. T. Higgins hasn't practiced with a quad injury, doubtful for this week. Lamar Jackson has not practiced this week with a back and knee injury. He's questionable. Okay. And Puka Nacua decided to just have some knee injury again. He's questionable for Sunday. That's it. Let's talk about Thursday night. Taylor, 2 halves.
Let's do it, dude. Oh, I feel like I'm a whole new man outside of the airflow. Yeah. What a hell of a drug. Anyways, Thursday Night Football. Jets get a win at home, take down the Houston Texans. It was pretty much do or die for the season is what it felt like for the Jets. And they came out, got a win after, I mean, you and I were cackling, laughing at just the first half of this game. We were just
one of the most laughable halves of football I've ever seen from an offense. Amazingly bad.
32 passing yards from Rodgers in the first half. It was terrible, and nothing to write home about for the Texans as well. I mean, I'm not even trying to victory lap anything right now. It was just we both were like, this game is going to suck, and all signs in the first half pointed to, oh yeah, this game is going to suck. Like it's just going to be Joe Mixon is getting the ball. He had 11 carries, like 16 minutes into the game on they had like 4 drives, and he was just all of them. So, but yeah, they come back out, they get a win. Rodgers has a pretty great second half, and Garrett Wilson makes 2 of the best one-handed catches I've ever seen in the same game. So,
oh my goodness,
good stuff, and they're alive. You know, they might have a chance here. You know, they can get to 11-6 if they win out here and keep it going, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe or this was their swan song, and they just got one more before they're done.
I don't know. The good news, I guess, for us fantasy owners is, we can see life in this Jets offense. And the panic button was pressed, or the hand was hovering over a lot of these guys. And there was concern for Davante Adams, and there's been concern for Breece Hall. We'll get to him in a second because you actually said he was a risky start. And there was a comment we made on our previous episode with Fluker for Real about Davante Adams, and we both felt like surely this is going to work out, but we also understood that Garrett Wilson is really good, and the ball may just keep going to him. And I do believe that Garrett Wilson is the wide receiver 1. You can say Davante Adams is 1A, 1B, and they're both going to have very nice games going forward, but Garrett Wilson, oh my goodness. I know that wasn't the most points anyone has scored from a wide receiver position, but that felt like the strongest victory out of any game for a wide receiver this season. That was unbelievable. That was a statement all across the board.
He had the breakout we've been hoping for, and it leads us in here, Wes. He was your must start. 30 fantasy points. I mean, he had the breakout that we knew he could have, and it didn't require 23 targets, which was the most exciting thing about all of it. Is that he had a big game against the Vikings in London, but it was like, okay, dude. I mean, dude had every single target thrown to him. Like it was like. We saw tonight, or I already said we record on Thursday. We saw in Thursday Night Football that there's a bit of coexisting to happen, hopefully. Texans defense isn't, someone you can just run over. So the fact that they got things going in the second half was positive. Garrett Wilson's been really good even with Adams there. We were all really worried, but the positive is that yes, he is going to be the highest scoring Jets wide receiver in this offense for fantasy football, due to the fact that defenses will treat Adams as the one. Not that he shouldn't be. He's Devontae Adams. But because of that, Garrett Wilson now gets the weaker matchup for the first time in his career, and with the best quarterback he's ever had. And so it's good to see. It's exciting. So 30 points definitely was the must start there. Good to see. Joe Mixon was my must start. We said he could get just like, why don't they just hand him the ball 35 times in this game and just let him cook? 24 carries, 106 yards and touchdown, 16.6 fantasy points. You're pretty happy with that from your running back. So it's good stuff. It's probably the first time, obviously it's early in the week, it's probably the first time this season that he's going to be outside the top 5, but you drafted him in the 5th round. So you're not disappointed in 16.6. So there you go.
He's awesome.
Should have run the ball more, to be completely honest. He just had nothing going for him. And that game was close enough to a point where they didn't need to keep trying to throw the ball. So anyways, our risky starts. Wes, yours. Tank Dell, 6 for 9, 126 yards, 18.6 fantasy points. I thought surely he was going to get the touchdown there at the end if they hadn't gone for the field goal. I think he was the primary read on both of those plays there before they decided to kick the field goal and take the 3 points. But good stuff to see. Nico Collins is going to be back next week, but this is a bit of shades of last year. Nico and Tank doing really well with each other. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for these guys. I did trade away Tank Dell in a redraft league recently. I'm not necessarily disappointed. I do have him in some dynasty leagues, but I'm excited about the returns I got. But good to see him with the targets and the yards. Had a pretty big 50-yard catch that accounted for a good bit of these points. That was good to see. So good stuff there for Tank. Breece Hall. Here's the guy that I said, hey, Thursday night, when you're sitting there having a shower beer because Breece Hall got you. I don't remember if I said 10.5 points. I might have said 9. I think I said 7.5 or 9. I don't know what it was, but it was
7.5.
Yeah, it was probably 7.5. But hey, he got you 3 more than that. So congrats. I said, come back and say, hey, you were right. What do I do? And I said, I don't know what to tell you. Here's what it is. Here's what I tell you. You keep playing them. The offense looks better. They had some good play calling tonight. And it's disappointing. What is it? 4 of his last 6, like around this 10.5 point range or lower. But better days, I'm sure. You like the volume, 19 opportunities. And I don't know, what wave are you on here with Breece? I mean, are you trying to sell or like
I stand where I was earlier when when it felt like there was a serious concern about Breece Hall. He's got a bye week coming up, and really it was just kind of getting to after this game because the rest of it is really, really easy matchups for rushing defenses. Up next is the Cardinals and then the Colts. And then a bye week. And then it's the Seahawks, Dolphins, and Jaguars. Jaguars' first game of playoffs for fantasy. And then it's the Rams. And then closing out against the Buffalo Bills, who allow a ton of points. He's got a very, very easy rushing schedule. So I am buying if I haven't already purchased him.
Yeah. Nice.
And I think all around the Jets offense has shown signs of life for fantasy from all of these major pieces. So we'll just need to see in week 10 how they fare against the Cardinals if people take them more seriously. Because maybe the Texans, this was a trap game for them. I know they were banged up, but maybe people will respect the Jets a little bit more and they may not produce the same way. But overall, I think this is going to be good for them.
Yeah, I agree. A couple other guys here are don't starts. Mine was CJ Stroud. Man, nice. I mean, this has just been... it's not a surprise. We talked about it in the offseason. We both were out on CJ Stroud. He wasn't in our top 10. He's been very disappointing. When he plays strong pass defenses, especially on the road, he's very bad. He's very, very bad. But on the last drive, I checked and I was like, where are his stats at? And he had 8 completions in the game before he had gotten to 11 for 30. That's Anthony Richardson type shit. Like, that's not good.
Yeah, this is the unicorn.
He's not gonna be benched, but this is this is terrible. Like, this is really, really bad. And you drafted CJ Stroud really early, and he has been a massive disappointment. And hopefully you've got other options. You've gone and picked up the Baker Mayfields or the Sam Darnolds or whoever else it was that you were able to pivot to. But it's not a good look for CJ Stroud, for the Texans, for the passing offense. And hopefully when Nico Collins comes back, there's a bit of an uptick here, because Stroud had some good games to start the year, but losing Nico seems pretty telling as for what the offense requires for him to be able to be the guy that we have seen him be before. So that's definitely a bummer. Wes, your don't start was everyone else on the Jets. Pretty much, it was
everyone else in
the game. Yeah, actually, is what you just said. So you had your Dalton Schultz, your Braylon Allen, your Robert Woods, your Tyler Conklin. Those paid off. Adams, the target share, we had seen it. He had been getting these looks. He just finally caught him, and he got in the end zone as well. So that helped him out with a 22.1 point game. And I don't know, maybe this hot new connection of these this new quarterback and wide receiver, brand new connection, never been seen before.
Yeah,
might gain some traction here and might keep going. Yeah, these guys are looking pretty good. It seems like they like throwing the ball to each other. 11 targets is awesome. I don't know if he's what's this? You just had it open. I'm so sorry. What's the next game? Who do they play in?
Cardinals
in week 10. Yeah, you got to play him there. It seems probably. But I don't know if I would say even you have to. I mean, it's like it's you. I have Adams in a league. I didn't start him. I'm not bummed. I'm not disappointed. I have better options on in my starting lineup. But I'm happy that I have this depth, but it's like, we're going to have to, I mean, I know they can be great. I just want to see it again.
Yeah. And I was going to say that I think it's all right that people haven't started him on Thursday night, because we've gotten to this point without starting him anyway. So the team, your fantasy teams have already been built outside of Devontae Adams. So if Adams can prove that he is this guy, then, you either re-slot him back into your lineup, or maybe you try to sell high for a piece that you really do need. Maybe you need a stronger running back. Maybe you can try to convince someone to give you a better quarterback plus someone else. Maybe there's something there. You figure it out. Yeah. But I mean, you've gone 9 weeks. Well, not 9 weeks. It's week 2 against the Ravens was really good for Adams. But you've gone a lot of this year without really starting Adams. So I don't think it's that much of a concern. But with Rodgers, I definitely need to see this again. This is absolutely a prove it to me, show me multiple times. You got to get 300 yards, because he's still on an incredibly long streak without throwing 300 yards. How many times can he get in the end zone? Is he going to throw interceptions? Fumble, who knows? So this was a good game for him, but there are still 25 quarterbacks I'd rather start over Rodgers.
Hopefully the yards can pick up, because he does have 2 or more passing touchdowns in 4 of his last 5 games. So that's positive, and you like to see that, but he hasn't been inside the top 13 quarterbacks on the week. Even while doing that. So you want the yardage to pick up for him as well, and consistently see these touchdowns. And so hopefully we'll see more of that. But I mean, it's let's see what they can do. Let's see the run. If they built a super team around him, they got to win. Let's see what happens next week against the Cardinals. So it's going to be exciting to watch. Let's jump into some studs and duds, huh?
Let's jump into some studs and duds, huh?
Let's do it. So we got some week 9 studs and duds. You know what? You love it. Studs. 4 guys that you have to have in your lineup if they are available to you. Make sure you have them. They can help win you your week. These are guys that you want to have in that lineup, that we have these gut feelings, this confidence in. Make sure you are starting these guys if you have the ability to. And then we got our duds. Duds, these are 4 other guys. 4 guys who could possibly lose you your week, and you want to reconsider having these guys in your lineup if you would like to keep your season alive. I've got quarterbacks and wide receivers. Wes, you've got running backs and tight ends.
Yes, sir.
Let's jump into it here. I'm excited to talk about my quarterback stud. It's Matthew Stafford going up against the Seattle Seahawks, back with his guys, back with his bros, even in a limited fashion last week on a heavy snap count. Puka and Cooper Kupp, he was the quarterback 5 with nearly 33 fantasy points against a pretty tough Vikings defense. I'm not too worried. I'm hearing that this knee injury that Puka experienced isn't expected to keep him out on Sunday, but we'll definitely want to monitor it because opposing quarterbacks are averaging 31 pass attempts versus the Seattle Seahawks. And in games where Matthew Stafford throws 31 or more passes with both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp in the lineup, he's averaging 26.6 fantasy points. That's top 5 quarterback on the week potential numbers right there in a game where he's back. They're fighting for the division in Seattle. This division is very tight. They've got a great shot here. I love Matthew Stafford this week. I'm starting him over guys like Dak Prescott and considering him over guys like my dud here. I would definitely start him over my quarterback dud. It's Baker Mayfield going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's sad to say because Baker has been awesome. He's a top 5, dare I say, I don't know if top for sure, but he may be a top 3. I think he's a quarterback 2 on the season. He may be a top 3 quarterback in fantasy football, quarterback 2. So here's why. 4 of the last 5 quarterbacks against Kansas City this year have been quarterback 21 or worse. And the only exception is Brock Purdy, who threw 3 interceptions but had 2 rushing touchdowns. That's how he managed to get to the QB 8 on the week there. But Gardner Minshew, QB 21, Derek Carr, QB 21, Justin Herbert, QB 22, Kirk Cousins, QB 23. I get it. Baker is playing better than those guys, but we got to see a little more here and see if Cade Otton can continue to be a 2-touchdown guy, a big target guy, because Kansas City, we know they gave up a big game to Isaiah Likely, but Mark Andrews shut down. Brock Bowers last week fairly shut down. They do a pretty good job at covering up that tight end. So bold call. But the Chiefs defense has been playing lights out against quarterbacks, and Baker Mayfield, I think, is going to fall victim to that again. In week 9, he is my quarterback dud.
It's because of Chris Jones too. I mean, there's always that possibility of the Chiefs defense is amazing. And with Jones, they've always been fantastic. So yeah, I'm in total agreement. I dropped quarterbacks to pick up Stafford for this week in a couple of leagues. I also just reviewed our weekly rankings on our Discord server. You can access through patreon.com/ForthControlFantasy. You and I have Stafford as 5th and 6th on the week. We're both in total agreement. This guy is going to ball out. Before I jump into my running backs, I just want to a quick disclaimer. Again, we're recording on Thursday, okay? So a little Halloween, okay? So there's a little bit of a Halloween/birthday party downstairs in my place, all right? So if you hear people yelling and playing games, that's what's going on. It's not you, it's me. Okay. Anyway, so running backs. My stud, this will be an interesting one. I'm going to call my shot. My stud running back for the week is going to be Chase Brown. This is the Cincinnati Bengals running back that we thought might have an explosive season. He was going to have a possible Devon Achane-like year from last year going into the season where he's in a tandem and is going to start seeing more and more opportunities and is going to explode. Hasn't quite happened yet, but if you take a look, there's a couple of reasons that you can slot him in as a flex option going into week 9 here. First of all, they're playing the Raiders. They allow the 10th most points to running backs. That's not too bad. Positive for that. And also looking at the snap counts, Chase Brown over the last 3 games is seeing at least half of the snaps, which is certainly more than Zach Moss's, but it's a 57% snap count average over the last 3 full games. And Zach Moss is dropping to outside of the 50%. He's at a 48% snap count. So a little detail there to encourage you towards Chase Brown plus scored touchdown to the last 3 games. So he's getting in the end zone. He's getting involved in the passing game and the red zone goal line rushing work. Very likely no T. Higgins on the week as well. You put all that together, very good outcome for Chase Brown. So I believe he's my stud for the week, and my dud. He lives in the same state as Chase Brown on a different team, however. It is Nick Chubb. I think we got to call a spade a spade. Let's be honest. Not quite the same. And I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but people have held on to this guy for 7 weeks. And then you had him in that 7th week, and he did not do a lot. And you're like, oh, well, that's all right. I wasn't going to start him anyway. And then you see him again, and it's bad. 2 yards a carry, and then 3.2 yards a carry. And I think this offense is going to be more pass-driven with how well Jameis Winston balled out, and the emergence of Cedric Tillman and how good David Njoku has been. There's a lot of reason to think this is a pass-first team, so that's why, in addition to the bad start for Nick Chubb, I'm going to call him my dud. I've seen people drop him, and I think he's a drop candidate pretty easily. So just some just reiterating what I think everyone wants to admit but can't. Nick Chubb is a dud.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad to see. I'm hopeful he finds the end zone if you're still risking it, but it's definitely, that's what you're going to need if you're going to still put him out there. But he has not been, unfortunately, and kind of predictably, the guy that we have previously seen in the past. So yeah, definitely tough stuff there. But Chase Brown's been awesome. Double digits every week since week 3, by the way, in fantasy football. I don't know if anyone noticed that. But I certainly didn't, and I just went to go ahead and check that, and I was like, "Oh, dang, he's been pretty solid." So with some top 10 weeks, by the way, here as well. So good stuff there. Wide receivers, make sure you get this wide receiver in your lineup this week. He's been an animal. He's been awesome. My wide receiver stud is Devontae Smith. Now, he's going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars are allowing the 3rd most fantasy points to wide receivers this season. He has had 7 targets or a touchdown in all but 1 game this season. He has been a top 25 receiver in all but 1 game this season. And that game was the New York Giants, and it was the Saquon Barkley revenge game, and Sirianni and Kellen Moore ready to just feed Saquon. If you scratch that Saquon revenge game where Jalen Hurts just threw 14 passes, that's it. Devontae Smith is averaging 17.4 points per game. That's wide receiver 9 on the year. He's been awesome. He's been great. And he's a guy that I think you really, really, really need to have in your lineup. He has week winning upside this week. I'm expecting a very, very, very strong week from Devontae Smith up against the Jaguars, who just get cooked against in the passing game. So, excuse me. My wide receiver dud, it's Zay Flowers, okay? They're going up against the Denver Broncos. He's been very boom bust, and it's been exciting to watch. He's been very boom as of late. 4 weeks as a top 14 wide receiver. 4 weeks outside the top 35 wide receivers. It's been very, very, very hot and cold. And Denver is allowing the 2nd fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. I don't know exactly how much Deontay Johnson plays in his first game, but him being in town and even getting a bit of snap share as well is not going to bode well for Zay. I expect him to have one of those outside the top 30 weeks, unlike his recent games where he's been very, very solid. So unfortunately, Zay Flowers is a dud. He's been a guy that I've been happy to eat crow on a little bit because I love him. And I was out on him, but he's been really solid at times. But I think this week is going to be a bit of a down week.
Yeah, well, dude, because Deontay Johnson's in town, dude, and he's the alpha now. He's the wide receiver 1. He's going to be incredible. Yeah, and you and I have been clear that Lamar Jackson does not throw or did not produce a top 24 wide receiver. That is just not what he's done ever. And with how great Derrick Henry has been, it just makes all the more sense. So, and then I love.
At this rate, Zay Flowers might have been, but they saw that he was close to producing a top 24 wide receiver, and they were like, hang
We need someone else for him to throw
Take
to.
It easy.
That's why he keeps throwing the touchdowns to Mark
chill
Andrews.
Out there, yeah.
But I roll out all the Eagles. Roll out all the Eagles, which actually leads me into my stud. Talking about tight ends here. My stud is pretty obvious. It's Evan Ingram against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know the Eagles have a pretty tough defense fantasy-wise against tight ends. They don't allow a lot of points to the position, but it's plain, it's simple, it's obvious, it makes the most sense. There's going to be no Christian Kirk. Gabe Davis, I think, forgot he's not on the Bills. He's on the Jaguars. He hasn't shown up all season. And then on top of that, Brian Thomas Jr. is day-to-day, week-to-week. Who knows? I don't expect him to play. And if he does, it's going to be pretty limited. And then, hold on, there's more. Travis Etienne is still trying to come back from a hamstring injury. And Tank Bigsby also has been banged up during practice this week. There's no one. There is no one but Trevor Lawrence and Evan Ingram. So the ball's got to go somewhere. Okay, so anyone's trying to interpret what to do with the tight end defenses in fantasy, doesn't matter against Evan Ingram. He's my stud. Roll him out. I think the only people that you can play over Ingram, if you happen to have them, is Brock Bowers and Njoku. I think that's pretty much it. Everybody else, I think, is going to have. I think Evan Ingram's going to do better than everybody else. I think it could be a very easy top 5 tight end on the week. My dud tight end, Jonnu Smith, okay? Had a decent week 8. A little bit of a surprise, especially when we thought that when Tua came back, it was going to be the Tyreek Jalen Waddle show. Instead, it was only Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert. That was it. It was very confusing. And so you take a look at the target shares here from Jonnu Smith. 7 targets in that tight end 2 performance from, yes, a different quarterback, and yes, against a bad Colts team, but 6 targets again here against the Cardinals. Is there anything to this? No, there's nothing to this. Just a couple of good games with a few targets. Don't roll out Jonnu Smith. We're going to keep believing that Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and Tua are going to get going in the passing game. Odell Beckham Jr. is going to come back at some point. I also hear he plays football. Jonnu Smith is not a stud. He is a dud. Do not play him.
Love it. While you were talking, I was trying to see what Las Vegas thinks the over-under is on Evan Ingram's targets in this game, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I'm not sure if that's even something you can bet on, but because I was going to ask you. I mean, he's going to have like 15 targets in this game, right?
It's double digits for sure. I don't know if it's going to be.
Dude, he's going to be awesome.
12 or whatever. But let me see. What does Sleeper have his projected?
It's not very high, dude. So, I think it's like 11 or less,
which is so ridiculous.
Which is so stupid. Yeah,
I have
pretty
no
wild.
Idea. Anyway, yeah,
that's
double-digit targets, Ingram.
Studs and duds. Happy Halloween! Thanks for hanging out with us. We are gonna have a great week of fantasy football. Shout out to all of the 2-6 and 3-5 teams. The run starts now. Here we go. We are going to make a run here for the playoffs, and we're going to have a good time doing it. Let us know who you are starting this week, who you think out of these studs and duds is going to do the absolute best and the absolute worst. Make Tuddy the Troll smile by liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell. Make sure you follow us on all our socials, as we're always getting content out there for you guys. And head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/4thandtrollfantasy for a bunch of fun stuff we got going on. Get in our Discord. It's a blast. That's going to do it. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.
Whoa!
4th and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media and Selby Artistic Workshop.